I am back. It's been a few weeks. Life after my mission trip to Honduras has been slowing down, thankfully, and so I'm hoping and praying I can be more consistent with producing some videos. And I have some things in the works. I just need the time to sit and record. And so, in today's video, I wanted to share five Christian movies, five really awesome Christian movies that I've been kind of collecting in the last year. Last year, I did my movie series. I think I did like four different genres of Christian movies, and just really trying to emphasize how important it is that we guard whatever we're taking in because I mentioned this throughout my series. Whatever we're taking in through our eyes is what we become. And so it's just really important that when we're consuming media, that we're consuming something that is pouring into us God's wisdom and God's word and just an encouraging, inspirational message versus most of the themes that are shown in secular movies and shows that are just debauchery. And so again, I have five films that I'll be sharing, and just so you know, all of these movies are available, at least as of a week or two ago, on YouTube and Tubi completely for free. Just know that because they are free, there's usually a cost, and so that cost comes with some ad breaks, but free is great. And so the ad breaks are basically nothing for me. But I just feel like, in general, I love to sit down and watch a good, wholesome film. But it's just something about fall that just makes me feel more cozy and just want to cuddle up on the couch and, just appreciate this season of ingathering with family, friends, close loved ones. It's just something about the cooler temperatures, seeing the leaves change and everything like that, and the trees, and just the coming holidays of Thanksgiving and Christmas, where we just celebrate gratitude, celebrate what God has done in our lives for us and everything like that. And just being able to sit and watch a movie with, even if it's just yourself or with other close loved ones, just something that'll uplift you. And at the end, after I share those five films, I will be sharing a feature film that is being released this Friday, November 7th. So today is November 2nd, 2025. And this Christian film is being released this Friday on November 7th, 2025. And so as I go into these next five films, I did not rank them in any way. I basically just listed them on the order that I've watched them over the last year or so. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hop in. The first film is called Until the Last Promise, which came out in 2024. And the synopsis is one family's journey through life and death. So this film was essentially, I don't want to ruin it, but there is a medical emergency in the family, and it kind of just shifts the entire family's dynamic and future planning and everything like that. Things that many of us have gone through. Very realistic story. Just how health can kind of change so much in not just one person's life, but how it can touch so many other aspects of that person's life and relationships as well. And this film has a couple of very familiar faces. So if you've seen Christian films since, I think, like mid 2000s to now, you would recognize at least one of these faces. The first is Dean Cain, and then the second is Kevin Sorbo. And yeah, really awesome film. I just really appreciate it. It's something that you don't really see, a theme that you don't really see spoken about much in many movies. The next film is Abel's Field, which came out in 2012, an inspiring drama about a solitary high school groundskeeper who becomes the unlikely mentor of a struggling teen. This movie also features Kevin Sorbo, and I think I really like this film because, again, it's touching on something that many people don't really see much of when it comes to movies, especially in the Christian space. Like, I'm not going to ruin the premise, but I think what really impacted me was more toward the end of the film, and just learning about the value of transparency and redemption. I think this film really touched on the role of redemption and reconciliation as well. Highly recommend. The next movie, Gallows Road. Guess who is also in this movie? You guys, when I was writing the notes, I was like, this is crazy that all three of these films have Kevin Sorbo in them. It's just, again, this is the order that I had watch these movies. I think I watched all of them on Tubi, and so maybe what they were doing was kind of recommending films that have similar actors. But yeah, this guy, he's all over the place. He is in his bag, as my little sister would say. The synopsis for Gallows Road: Loss and heartbreak challenges one man to forgive the unforgivable. So this film, just as a heads up, it does address again another difficult subject. This was more so on racial tension in the South. There is a scene that is pretty sad, but it's not gruesome, but really just touching on the role of forgiveness and trying to understand why God allows certain things to happen. Another familiar face in this one, Ernie Hudson. I think he's done some stuff in non-Christian films as well, but I've definitely seen him around. So, pretty solid acting in this one. Just really, really good. The next film I have is Counter Callin', which came out in 2020. And it's about an inner city drug dealer who joins the army only to clash with a hard-headed Christian determined to share his faith. I love this one because it talks about, I mentioned this in some of my previous videos last year, but I love the intersection of faith and sports. And likewise, I love the intersection between faith and the military, only because I feel like so many people that are in the military and sports, I guess this is why I like the intersection of both, is because they learn discipline, like the core tenets of discipline and why it's so important in your walk as a Christian. I think veterans and people who were in the military or are in the military will really appreciate this one. The last film, now I said I didn't rank these movies, but this one has to be my favorite out of all 5, and it's probably being added to my list of my favorite Christian movies of all time. And it's called Unfailing Love, and it came out last year in 2024. This was just, again, one of those movies where you just take a gamble, and it turned out to exceed all of my expectations. It was so good. So good. Let me read the synopsis. Based on the biblical story of Hosea, if you know, you know, a single religious man marries a prostitute as a symbolic example of God's unconditional love. This movie made me appreciate the role that biblical prophets played in the Bible, and just the task, the burden that was placed on them to give heavy words to a people, hard-headed people who were not listening, who were going after other gods and doing things that were just so displeasing to Yahweh, the God of their fathers. And man, I can't imagine the pressure. I think sometimes we just read the Bible and we just read it like we're so disconnected from the weight of some of the messages and what it must have felt like to be that person. And you kind of see a snippet of that in this movie because the main guy, he's portraying Hosea and the burden, the weight of being told by God to marry a prostitute. And yeah, it was so well done. I do want to give a little heads up. In the beginning, it does start out kind of cheesy, kind of silly a little bit, but then after time, it just becomes very serious, and he starts giving these very, he's basically rebuking people for them just being two-faced, and there's so many other things. I don't want to ruin it, but definitely, out of all these movies, if you want to start here, this one is so good, so well done. And it just makes me appreciate God's grace so much more. And it's also a very convicting movie, honestly. It will convict you. If you don't come away convicted, like, you need to watch it again. Pray and then watch it again. If you are not convicted by this movie, something might be wrong. But it is just, it tugs at your heart. So good. There is one actor, Cameron Arnett. So he has been in many of the, I think they're called the Kendrick brothers. He's been in a few of their films. So have you seen The Forge? He's the leading guy in The Forge. I don't think he was in War Room, but he's been in quite a few other Christian films. Really good film. And with that said, I want to share the film that is coming out this Friday. So today I'm recording this November 2nd, 2025. This film called Sarah's Oil comes out November 7th, 2025. I'm actually going on the day that it's released. I'm so excited. I don't watch much TV, and I didn't realize that this was coming out until a few months ago. And I was just Googling Christian movies that are coming out this year just because I don't go to the movies much, but sometimes I do just want some movie popcorn. But oftentimes the movies that are in theaters is just not appealing to me at all whatsoever. And so if I go, I want to be watching a wholesome movie. And so I Googled, it was this movie that came up, and then there was another one that came out a month or two ago, an animation called, I forget what it was called, but it was an animation. And what was really cool was that the guy that led the animation, he used to work for Disney. And he eventually became convicted and left. Like, I mean, this guy was working on Mulan. I think he worked on Pocahontas, many of like the very well-known Disney movies. But then he left and he started to use his skills for God's glory, which is awesome. The Light of the World. I think that's what it's called, Light of the World. And it's the gospel based on John's perspective. And I kid y'all not, literally, I know it's an animation, and my sister, she's gonna watch this and laugh. I was bawling by the end. Even just seeing the gospel in an animation, but I think it was because it was coming from John's perspective and just how he just truly, genuinely loved Jesus and everything that Jesus did for him, how he impacted him. It was just beautiful to see. I recommend that one. It's not in theaters anymore, obviously, but I'm sure it'll be streaming somewhere. So if you can get your hands on it, definitely watch it. But let me get back to the film for this Friday. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is I think it's so important that we as Christians support Christian creators who are trying to produce wholesome, uplifting movies for us to watch. It is not cheap to make a movie, and so really just want to encourage people to go and support other Christian creators. So with that said, let me go ahead and read the synopsis for the movie that is coming out this Friday called Sarah's Oil. In the early 1900s, young Sarah Rector believes there's oil beneath the barren land she's allotted in Indian Territory. As greedy sharks close in, Sarah turns to family, friends, and some Texas wildcatters to maintain control of her oil-rich land, eventually becoming one of the first female African-American millionaires. And this story is, I know it doesn't really mention it in the synopsis, but it is heavily leaning upon faith. So I'm really excited to see this movie. I don't think they're really promoting it too much. My mom said she has seen some stuff on Facebook and maybe a little bit of YouTube, but if you haven't seen it, please take this opportunity to go and check it out this coming weekend. So, like I said, life is slowing down quite a bit, and so I look forward to being able to produce more content. Thank you for those that have been following along, even if it's not that much that has been coming out, honestly, this entire year. But, the Lord has been working, and I'm so grateful for what he's doing in my life and just the things that he already has lined up in the next few months. Anyways, Lord willing, I will see you in the next video, hopefully not too long of a wait, sometime soon. In the meantime, I pray that you have a blessed day and just continue to be the light in such a dark and increasingly dark world. See you next time.